I've always been fascinated by a good lunar eclipse. That crimson moon hanging in the sky, it feels like something out of a fantasy novel, but I never imagined one would completely shatter my reality. It all started a few nights ago, during the peak of the blood moon. I was down in my basement, sorting through some old junk, when I noticed something I'd never seen before. Behind a stack of forgotten boxes, there was a door, a small iron door set right into the concrete foundation. It wasn't on any of the house plans, I know because I checked. It had no handle, no lock, just a small, almost invisible seam around its edge. My heart was pounding. Curiosity got the better of me, as it always does. I pushed, and with a low groan of rusted metal, it swung inward, revealing a darkness that seemed to swallow the light from my flashlight. The air that wafted out was ancient, smelling of damp earth and something else, something metallic and vaguely unsettling. I hesitated for a moment, every horror movie I'd ever seen screaming at me to just shut the door and pretend I never saw it. But the pull was too strong. I stepped through, my flashlight beam cutting a nervous path through the pitch black. I was in a narrow tunnel, hand-carved from the dirt and rock. It stretched on and on, deeper into the earth. As I walked, I noticed strange symbols etched into the walls, symbols that felt both alien and strangely familiar. They seemed to pulse with a faint, almost imperceptible light that matched the red glow of the eclipse filtering in from somewhere far behind me. It felt like I was walking for miles, the silence broken only by the crunch of my boots and the frantic thumping of my own heart. Then, the tunnel opened up into a small, circular chamber. In the center of the room there was a single wooden chair, and sitting in it was a man. My blood ran cold. He was wearing my clothes, the same faded t-shirt and jeans I had on right then, but he was older, much older. His hair was completely gray, his face a roadmap of deep wrinkles, and his eyes were closed, his head slumped to one side. He wasn't breathing. I cautiously approached, my flashlight shaking in my hand. It was me, there was no doubt. It was a future version of myself, lifeless and cold. On a small table next to him was a single sheet of paper. My hand trembled as I picked it up. The handwriting was mine, but shaky, aged. It was a short, chilling message. It read, "The eclipse takes one. The reflection remains. Don't look." I didn't understand. The eclipse takes one. The reflection remains. My mind was reeling. I backed away from my own corpse, stumbling back into the tunnel, my mind screaming. I ran, not daring to look back, my lungs burning, until I burst back through the iron door into my own basement. I slammed it shut, my body shaking uncontrollably. The lunar eclipse was just beginning to wane, its red light fading from the small basement window. I leaned against the wall, trying to catch my breath, trying to make sense of the impossible thing I had just seen. A dead, older me. A cryptic note. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. What did it mean? The reflection remains. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the scene in my head. The tunnel, the symbols, my own dead face. Around 3 in the morning, I dragged myself into the bathroom to splash some water on my face. I looked up into the mirror, and my heart stopped. It was my reflection, just as it always was. But something was off. I leaned closer, my eyes wide. There, at my temple, was a single gray hair, one that I swear wasn't there before the eclipse. And the faintest, tiniest wrinkle was forming at the corner of my eye. It was almost imperceptible, but I knew my own face. It was different. I thought I was going crazy, that the stress was getting to me. I tried to dismiss it, to tell myself it was just a trick of the light, but a cold dread was already beginning to settle in my stomach. Over the next few days, the changes became more noticeable. A few more gray hairs appeared. The lines around my eyes deepened ever so slightly. It was like I was aging, but on an accelerated timeline. I felt fine, healthy even, but my reflection told a different story. It was then that the note's meaning began to dawn on me. The eclipse takes one, the reflection remains. The man in the chair, the original me, was gone, taken. I was the reflection, a copy, left behind to live out his life, but at a cost. Every day I'd check the mirror, and every day, the man staring back was a little bit older. It was a subtle, terrifying transformation. My friends didn't notice, my family didn't see it, but I did. I saw the ghost of the man from the chamber slowly taking over my face. I started researching eclipses, ancient rituals, anything that could explain this madness. I found obscure folklore, tales of shadow swapping and celestial events that could bridge worlds or timelines. Most of it was nonsense, but buried in an old, forgotten text, I found a reference to a recurring celestial cycle. It described a specific alignment that happened in conjunction with a total lunar eclipse, the same kind that had just occurred. The text said it created a temporal echo, replacing a person with their duplicate from a fraction of a second in the future. This duplicate would then experience a rapid aging process, culminating at the next occurrence of the same eclipse. The cycle would then repeat, a replacement, a copy, designed to live a full life in a fraction of the time, until the next celestial reset. The book even included a formula, a way to calculate the next event. My hands shook as I did the math, cross-referencing star charts and astronomical data. When I got the final number, I felt sick. The next eclipse, the exact same kind of blood moon, was scheduled to happen in precisely 7 years. 7 years until I ended up in that chair, in that cold, dark chamber beneath my house. 7 years until another, younger version of me would stumble upon that iron door and find me, just as I had found my predecessor. A countdown had begun. My life now had an expiration date written in the stars. Every glance in the mirror is a reminder. The gray is spreading from my temples now, the lines on my face deepening into grooves. I am a living clock, ticking down to my own inevitable end. Now, I live with this secret. I see the world differently. Every sunrise is a gift, every moment precious. But there's a constant shadow hanging over me. Sometimes, I stand before that iron door in the basement. I'm tempted to open it, to go back down there, to try and understand more, to maybe even try and break the cycle. But the fear holds me back. The fear of what else I might find in that endless dark. What if there are other doors, other chambers, other versions of me? And the most terrifying thought of all, what happens if I'm not there when the next eclipse comes? What happens if I try to run? Does the cycle break, or does it just find me, wherever I am? I don't have the answers. All I have is time, less and less of it, every single day. I'm living on borrowed time, and the clock is ticking faster than I'd like. Thanks for listening to my story. If you find a door that shouldn't be there, maybe just leave it closed. Please subscribe for more strange tales.